welcome back to our second I Damanda how-to section. So today what we are going to be doing is we're going to do another segment on how to make a lacto-fermented vegetable. Today we're going to make a sweet fermentation or a sweet pickle. The last one, in case you missed that one, was just a regular kind of dill pickle, but a fermentation, which again is a more natural kind of way to make a pickle. It has more probiotics, it's better for you. You don't have to use vinegar, you basically have your vegetable, you have salt, you have water, that's all you need. If you want to add some spices, you can, but you really don't have to, so it's super simple. We're going to show you how to make these in the jar. You don't have to use a crock or anything like that. And we're also going to show you how to keep these vegetables, these pickles, crisp, which is exactly what you're going to want. So today we are going to use this 6-quart of beans that I picked. We're not going to make this many pickles because we're going to have plenty more beans this year from our garden. But we're going to make a few of these, and then I'm probably going to freeze the rest. And then we'll have I have another 6-quart that we're probably going to eat fresh. This is why my son often gets bored of beans at some point, but I just have to try and find more inventive ways to serve them to him. So anyhow, what we'll do is, first of all, we'll start by washing these, and then we will get them ready to put into the jars. The nice part about these beans is that they're organic, which is we don't use any chemicals on any of our vegetables if we can help it. The other part is that because they're climbing beans, they're super straight, which is great, but also they grow up and off the ground, so there's really no soil, no dirt on any of these. We don't have to worry too much about other things in here. Now that our beans are nice and washed, we can get them ready to cut up and go into the jars. Alright, so what I'm going to do is some of these are a bit long, so I'll just cut them into thirds, or I'll cut them into halves. I know some people will, obviously I'll trim the kind of stems off if there's stems on here, and I know some people will kind of trim the little ends off. I don't bother with that. You can if you want, obviously. I'm pretty low maintenance when it comes to these things, so I don't bother. But you do what you want. So, and incidentally, this kind of a ferment, which we're going to actually make it a little bit sweet and with some kind of herbs and things, you can use different vegetables. I'm just using beans because that's what I have a lot of right now. But I've also used, like when we harvest our carrots, and if we have too many, I'll use or not if we have too many, if we have some little ones that I don't really want to kind of pack away in sand, then I'll ferment those and to make little kind of fermented pickled carrots. I've used little onions. You can kind of, I've also fermented green tomatoes at the end of the year when the frost is coming and I don't want to kind of keep them all to ripen indoors. So I've done that too. So you can experiment kind of with however you want to do this. And as I said in my last video about the cucumber pickles, if you're really kind of looking to expand your horizons on this and you want to learn how to do more like make sauerkraut, like make kimchi, there's a book by a fellow named Sandor Katz. And I'll put a link in this video as well to that book, and I'm sure he's probably got a website or something like that. I just have the book. So anyway, you can take a look at that, and he's got lots of different suggestions for those kind of things, as well as sourdough ferments and lots of other kind of stuff. Because as I'm sure you've kind of probably heard by now, those natural ferments are good because they provide us with probiotics, but not only just that, they actually are a way to kind of free up some vitamins that we wouldn't normally have access to. Like they can actually improve your ability to absorb B12 from sourdough ferments. So lots of reasons why ferments are good for you and why humans actually evolved to eat foods that were fermented, because they're just good for you. All right, I'm going to keep chopping these up, and we'll come back when all that is done. Okay, so now we've got all of our beans nice and chopped up. There they are, they're ready to go. And so we are kind of ready to assemble our sweet pickles. So as I kind of mentioned before, what you need is you need your vegetable, which we have, check. Then you need salt. So what you do need to make sure is that this is sea salt, okay? It is not a table salt, because that stuff has iodine, and it also has some anti-caking agents in it, and those things can actually inhibit your ferment, so you don't want that. So I'm using a fine sea salt. You can use a coarse sea salt, you can use a pickling salt, that's fine too. The only thing is that if you're going to use a coarse salt, you need to double the amount than what I'm using here. So if I'm going to make a liter-sized jar, I need 1 tablespoon of my fine sea salt. So that's what I'm going to use. If you're using coarse, you'll need to use 2 tablespoons. All right. So, and we're going to put some nice little fun spices in here as well. But before we do that, one thing that you do also need to do is have a source of tannins for your ferment. And the reason why that is important is the tannins actually stop the vegetables from going soft. So these will help keep these crisp, and a crisp pickle is much more pleasant than something that's kind of soggy. So you can use, in my last video where I was making cucumber pickles, I used grape leaves. You can also use just a regular tea bag and put the tea bag in the bottom of here, and it won't affect the flavor of your pickle. But what I'm actually going to use for these ones, I'm going to use bay leaves. So bay leaves are another nice option. So I'm going to probably put 4 of them in there, because mine are kind of in little pieces here, so they're not whole bay leaves. Yeah, I've heard that people can get away with even just 1 bay leaf, but I also want them for a little bit of flavor in here, so I'm going to put a few more in. In addition to that, I'm going to put a tablespoon of whole black pepper, because I want these to be a little bit spicy, so that'll be nice. And then I'm also going to do a teaspoon of fennel seeds, which is going to go in there as well. Okay, and then I'm going to put, I have some thyme, and then I have some rosemary as well. So I'm going to put a few sprigs of thyme into the bottom, and then a few sprigs, also just a couple of rosemary in there as well. And that again is going to make, all of those together are going to make a really nice flavor. And then when I say we're making a sweet pickle, we actually are not going to add the sweetener until after the fermentation is complete. And the reason why you do it that way is because if you add the sweetener in now, that will get fermented too, and then you actually end up with an alcoholic pickle, which, you know, maybe that's what you want, but that's not what I'm going for. I want a sweet pickle, and not that I think that food safety would recommend that, so probably don't do that. Anyway, so we're going to add sweetener afterwards to this, which is probably going to be honey, because we produce honey from our bees, so that's likely what we're going to use. But you could just use sugar if you wanted to, and then just add a little bit at a time until it tastes sweet enough for you. But we're not going to do that again until after. So now we've got all of our spices in here, we've got our tannin in here, and now we're going to pack our beans in here. And again, I'm pretty casual about this. You want to try and kind of get them in there snug, but you're not too formal. I'm just going to kind of shake them around so that they'll pack in a little bit better. Maybe we'll fast forward this portion if it's a little bit boring. Whoa! Escape. I'm going to try to escape. Okay, so I think, so you don't want to pack them all the way full, okay? So because you need to leave space here to put something that's going to help submerge those under the liquid. All right, so that's about how full, well, maybe about 3/4-ish full, okay? And then I am going to add another couple of sprigs of thyme on here. maybe a few more because I like thyme. And then we're going to put another sprig of rosemary on top. Okay. And then we're just going to put our tablespoon of sea salt. This is fine sea salt. Again, if you're using coarse, you're going to use twice that much. This is very, very low tech. And then that sea salt will kind of disperse in the water that you're going to put on here. And we live on a well, which means that our water doesn't have any chlorine, which is great because you don't want any chlorine in the water that you're going in here for your ferment, because the chlorine actually will inhibit the growth of the bacteria that you want to grow, which is lactobacillus. So that's the bacteria that you're after, but if your water is chlorinated, that actually interferes with it. So what you can do if you're on city water is you can either use bottled water if you want. The other thing you can do is you can just pour out some water in a pitcher the night before, leave it for 24 hours, and then that will actually allow the chlorine gas to dissipate, and then you're good to go. All right, so because we don't have any chlorine in our water, I'm just going to fill this up pretty much full, pretty close to full anyway, just with our tap water over here. Let me zip out of the frame for one moment as I do that. Da, 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 da. Filling, filling, filling. Okay. Yeah, pretty good. So now what we want is we want something to press down on this, because we don't want any of these vegetables or even herbs floating up, because this is supposed to be an anaerobic fermentation, which means without oxygen. Okay, so then you can buy special pickle weights for fermentation for jars if you want to. They have lots of fun things you can buy. Again, as you will eventually figure out, I like to do things that are less expensive. I don't feel the need to have extra stuff around my house, so I have gone with the more inexpensive option of just taking some rocks in my garden, cleaning them, washing them obviously, and then boiling them. I boiled them probably for about 5-10 minutes just to make sure that they're sterilized, and then we're just going to put those rocks on top of the vegetables. The trick was to find the rock that was the right size. Try not to burn myself while I'm doing this too. Okay. So we're going to get that in there, and I think I might actually put another little one in there. Sometimes you need more than one rock, and that's just the way it is. Okay, so that I think will be perfect. That should keep everything down under the water. Okay, and then I'm just going to put like a canning lid on here, and this is actually a used canning lid because they don't have to be new, so why not reuse them? And then you just put the little ring on there. Okay, and then you can see what it looks like. Lovely, lovely. So in about 2 days or so, depending on how warm it is where you're doing your fermentation, you're going to start to see some bubbles start to come up, which is a great sign. That means your fermentation is starting to happen. And once you start to see the bubbles, that means that carbon dioxide is being produced, and it will increase the pressure inside your jar. So once a day, you just need to come along and go, boop, loosen that jar lid just a smidge to let the gas come out, and then you can snug it back up again, okay? That's called burping your jar. So normally, as I said, with the cucumber pickles, I normally leave these out somewhere where I can see them, so oftentimes on my countertop, and then in the morning I'll just give them a little burp, and then I screw that back on, and then they're all done, okay? So basically then, in 1 week to 4 weeks, depending on how warm it is and how kind of sour you like your pickles to be, these will be ready to go. And then at that point, you just put them into the fridge, and that will slow down the fermentation, and then you can start, munching away. Put them on your charcuterie platter or whatever else you want. You can put them in salads, and these are really, really nice. Probably what we'll do is, when they're ready, I'll kind of show you how you add the sweetener to these when they're ready to go. So I would say probably a week after you start seeing the bubbles start to form in the jar, then you can maybe pull out one bean or whatever it is that's in here and just give it a taste and see if it's sour enough for you. If it's not, then leave them for a few more days. Obviously don't put the one that you tasted back into the jar. And then when they're ready, when you feel that they're sour enough, then put them into the fridge. They will get a little bit more sour over time while they're sitting in the fridge because it slows down the fermentation, but it doesn't stop it entirely. All right, so thank you very much for joining me on yet another session of I Damanda how-to session. So if you like this video, please press the subscribe button, and then also if you want to, you can press the bell where you'll get notifications when we post another video. And thank you very much. And if you have any questions for me about this video or anything else, if you want to just post them in the comment section, I'm happy to get back to you and answer them, because the people that I work with, I think, are sick of hearing me talk about all this stuff that I do. And so I'm happy to kind of chat with you about it kind of whenever you like. All right, you guys have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.